In 1965, a secret CIA file was written. That sounds like a scene from a James Bond movie. It called for using aircraft to pump chemicals into the sky, not just to study storms, but to control them. In 1967, during the Vietnam War, the U.S. military allegedly extended a monsoon to flood an enemy supply route. This is not sci-fi. These are declassified documents that show the CIA didn't just watch the weather, it tried to own it. Today, we're going deep into the weather control files, the real history of projects like Operation Popeye, and what this means for the chemtrails theories of today. In October 1965, the CIA issued an 18-page declassified memo titled Weather Modification. That document laid out a very direct idea. If a government can control the weather, it can control the battlefield, and maybe even the world. The memo argued for a major increase in funding for weather modification research. It explicitly talked about using aircraft and rockets to release substances into the atmosphere that could shift precipitation patterns, alter storms, and influence local climates. And it wasn't just theoretical. The document linked this research to actual military planning. In 1967, this thinking moved from the lab to the skies over Vietnam. The project was called Operation Popeye. From 1967 to 1972, the U.S. Air Force flew hundreds of secret cloud seeding missions over the Ho Chi Minh Trail. The goal wasn't to create rain out of nowhere. It was to extend the monsoon season in specific areas. They targeted mountain passes and roads where North Vietnamese trucks moved supplies. By prolonging the rain, they aimed to do three things. 1. Turn dirt roads into mud. 2. Trigger landslides that would block truck routes. And 3. Keep the ground so saturated that movement would grind to a halt. Declassified records show that the U.S. saw this as a way to weaponize the weather without dropping another bomb. In their own words, the operation was about using weather as a weapon. Operation Popeye and similar projects like Project Storm Fury, where the U.S. tried to weaken hurricanes by seeding them with silver iodide, help explain why the term weather control feels so disturbing today. Governments have experimented with cloud seeding, sometimes for agricultural reasons, sometimes for military ones. That history is one reason the chemtrail theory took off. People started looking at normal jet contrails and thinking, what if these aren't just water vapor? What if they're secretly spraying chemicals to control the climate, to control crops, or even to control people? Researchers and institutions like the Salata Institute have pointed out that many of these fears blend real weather modification programs with pure conspiracy. There is legitimate concern about the ethics of climate engineering, but most of the chemtrail claims go far beyond what declassified documents actually say. Back in the 1960s, President Lyndon B. Johnson once told graduates, "He who controls the weather will control the world." That line was later quoted in CIA-linked memos about weather modification. Fast forward to today, and governments are again debating whether to try to reverse engineer climate change by reflecting sunlight, seeding clouds, or other large-scale geoengineering projects. The core question hasn't changed. Who decides when it happens, and who pays the price if it goes wrong? Modern geoengineering debates are still haunted by the legacy of programs like Operation Popeye. The line between helpful climate tool and invisible weapon can be terrifyingly thin. In 2026, old documents like the 1965 Weather Modification Memo have resurfaced online, a single social media post claimed that the CIA has been poisoning the sky and controlling the weather since 1965. That post went viral because it mixed three powerful ingredients. 1. Real declassified files. 2. A military-style operation. And 3. A modern fear about climate change and government secrecy. That's why this topic is trending. It sits exactly where history, science, and conspiracy collide. And that's exactly where YouTube algorithm-friendly videos thrive. So, should we be afraid of weather control? The evidence shows that governments have tried to manipulate the weather in real ways. But the gap between limited, tactical experiments and the idea that the CIA is secretly owning every storm in the world, that's where healthy skepticism and real research are essential. If you want more deep dive investigations like this, one video at a time, unpacking the stories that YouTube is quietly pushing into your feed, hit subscribe and turn on the bell.